Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm going to say gentlemen because I've been looking at the analytics and everything else, and apparently everyone who watches this channel, pretty much everybody, 99.99999%, is a dude. So, hey, it's an electronics channel. What do I expect? We're just going to talk a little bit about this. Is a Shure Vocal Master, and I have restored this as best I can. It's getting tough to find these things in restorable condition because they've been sort of highly bastardized. But this is an earlier PA system. These were really popular. They were one of the few portable in quotation marks, PA systems out there. I have the two types of speaker that were shipped with it and the head unit here in good operating condition. The front speakers are the monitor speakers that were designed to be placed at the sides or behind the performers, where the tallest speakers there were to face the audience. And it was common to sometimes use four vocal cabinets, the four mains vocal cabinets, for the audience side, so there'd be two on each side or dispersed. I'll take a look at the control panel. These are we'll talk about it. Let's just zoom in here. I'm like all the way to the back wall to get this thing in frame. It's tall. Okay, this is the newer head unit. There were two versions of it. An older one used all unbalanced jacks on the back, so everything went in with a 1/4 inch, your microphones and all of that. And that's what this was strictly designed for. As you can see, it's called a Shure Vocal Master. It was designed for vocals. And if you look at any old 60s and 70s concert footage, you'll see that the artists usually put their amplifiers toward the front of the stage and stood next to them, or maybe stood behind them. And so this was just to amplify the voices. There are 6 channels, very simple. We have channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each channel here has volume, treble, and bass in a stacked configuration, and then a reverb in or out. So master volume, a VU meter, that's what you get there. And then over in this corner you have the reverb master volume. So this is the return from the reverb. So if you have it on, your microphone is making the reverb bounce, you have the reverb volume, and then you have a treble and bass control for the sound of the reverb and a master reverb on and off. And then these 4 switches are for feedback control, and they're basically notch filters, so you can flip them back and forth and see which one reduces your feedback the most. The system is 100 watts, but it is mind-blowingly loud for being a 100-watt system, and it comes down to the efficiency of the speakers that were used for this system. I'd love to hook it up and show it to you. The older version of this, which I actually have an older version of this head, that the faceplate, the control board, is actually in better cosmetic condition, but it lacks the VU meter and the inputs on the back are unbalanced. This is a little bit later one. Let's flip it around and look at the back. I have replaced the power cord on this because the original power cord was in no shape for dancing. There is a reverb on and off switch that you can, hook in for a foot switch if you're the sound engineer and you just want to be able to, step on the reverb and turn it off when people are talking between songs or whatever. You can operate it by foot. There's an auxiliary out. There is a mic level out. You can actually adjust it to high impedance or low impedance. So these are outputs to go to other amplifiers. An early effects loop. They actually refer this as an echo loop, input and output of the echo loop, which I would think would be for like maybe a slapback. I really got to look. And then for each of our XLRs in, we actually have a little switch here labeled in or out. That is a pad. If the signal is very loud, you can attenuate the signal. When I found this, I thought something might have been wrong with it because I didn't know what in and out meant on these, but it turned out that all of the pads were on, so I was getting low volume, and the minute I switched that pad off, it about blew my face off. and we'll take a look at the speakers that shipped with us. The drivers, this is the mains driver. Now granted, you'll see screws on the faceplate of this. Those are not originally intended to be there. Finding these speakers in unmodified condition from end users is very difficult. Because of the nature of the head unit, many people who had the speakers modified the speakers to use with other PA systems. This speaker should be a 16 ohm cabinet. We have a 10-inch driver on the bottom, and then we scroll up to 4 8-inch drivers. And then at the top we come back to another 10-inch driver. This is wired kind of uniquely in series parallel. There is a diagram in the service manual for that. And that is like I say, it's a 16 ohm speaker. And most people who had, say, a PV PA head or a custom PA head were rewiring these for 4 ohms or 8 ohms. And I had somebody rewired it and then put in some kind of aftermarket crossover and just really royally messed it up. Tried to turn it into a 3-way by putting in tweeters. These were not made to play your mumble wrap through. If you put your bass mumble wrap through it, you're going to damage a driver. And good grief, finding these with damaged drivers is very, very easy to do. Alright, and your monitor speakers, I believe, I'm pretty sure, I got to double check again, I think these are actually 32 ohm speakers. They are essentially half of the main column. You can see there's our main column, and here's our monitor speaker. They're half height, featuring a 10-inch driver on the bottom and 2 smaller 8-inch drivers up top. The other neat thing we have on the back, if you're going to be placing these as a performer at your side or at the back, there's no separate monitors channel on that head unit. So you would attenuate the volume that would be put to these via the attenuator that is built onto the speaker. So if we look down here, you can see this one has not been completely refinished, and rust and everything else. Oh my goodness. So these have been stored in garages, popular with garage bands. That does have a replaced knob, so all you purists. But right now it's at full volume, and I could easily reduce its volume just by turning it down there. So you turn it down just enough that your performer is not in panic mode from the high volumes. And all of these speakers have an in and an out, so they're all basically meant to be chained together on the main amp that is stable with a load from anywhere from like 32 ohms down to 4. So daisy chaining a lot of things together. These speakers are also high efficiency, very tight tolerances, so they produce a lot of volume per watt. And being a early variant of a line array, they're pretty darn efficient. They were talking using 1 pair or 2 pair of main columns, and they were, able to announce an entire football stadium. Announce, not sing to, but announce an entire football stadium. And the reverb that they have in these units is actually the same thing you'd find in your guitar amp. It's an Accutronic spring. So I'd like to hook this up and do a little bit of singing for you, but let's look at some vintage advertising and whatnot just for fun.